Ever since the rumors of Disney possibly selling Star Wars first emerged, I thought they sounded somewhat dubious. But now, we've heard from our own sources that there is indeed something to them. That something, though, may not be quite what you think. Let's dive in. This video is sponsored by Black Forest Supplements. For many years now, entertainment has been rather female-centric, which was very virtuous, but as it turned out, a decision that did not age well. As a general thing, male-driven brands appeal to both men and women alike, while female brands tend to appeal pretty much exclusively to women. This indeed is why Disney bought Marvel and Star Wars in the first place, to appeal to their respective built-in male audiences, as Disney already had the female market locked down. So, when Kathleen Kennedy and later Kevin Feige wanted to increase the female appeal of Star Wars and Marvel respectively, they made the worst mistake they ever could have done by making them female-centric, in the process driving away the majority male audience as well as the built-in female without attracting any new women, because if they didn't care about Star Wars or Marvel before, shoving more women and diversity into them wouldn't change their mind. So little so that Disney may now be in the market to sell Star Wars altogether. Or is there more to it? We're about to find out, but first. Clearly, the Trump 2.0 administration has already brought radical change to America, and therefore the world, and that includes RFK Jr.'s push to make America healthy again. RFK has already announced his intention to fight corruption in the FDA, specifically the suppression of legal and safe medical treatments for the simple reason that they cannot be patented by Big Pharma. Their change is already happening, as just 2 days after the post in which RFK advised the FDA agents concerned to 1. Preserve their records and 2. Pack their bags, Black Forest, alongside the Natural Product Association, got amazing news after a court ruled that the FDA was unfairly enforcing such rules against NMN products. You may be curious about what those are, so take a listen.
So I take NMN every morning.
What is NMN?
Good question. So let me take a quick step back.
Sure.
So about 20 years ago, Lenny Guarente and a team of us at MIT discovered a set of genes that controls aging in yeast cells, just brewer's yeast, what you find in beer and bread. And those genes are called sirtuins, and there are 7 of them in our bodies, 5 in yeast. And what they do is they protect all organisms on the planet, plants, bacteria, humans, from deterioration and disease. They're like the Pentagon. They sense when we're hungry, sense when we're exercising, and they send out the troops to defend us. So when you put more of these genes into a yeast cell or a mouse, they'll live longer, between 5 to 20% longer. And so we think that these genes are responsible for the effects of dieting and exercise, which is great. What that means is we can now mimic that with molecules. So NMN is one of those molecules.
For now, the FDA can't take strict actions against NMN products while the case is on hold, which Black Forest is calling a huge win for the people. Remember, for years the FDA has been trying to change the status of NMN supplements to be classified as a drug, which would put it under the control of Big Pharma, thus taking it away from you. But thanks to the likes of Trump, RFK and Black Forest Supplements, they're not going to be able to turn this into the first anti-aging prescription drug in the world. Black Forest Supplements have been fighting tooth and nail to keep it freely available for you. That's why I support them, and also asked this very based company to give my followers a special discount, so you can try NMN and experience the benefits for yourself. So for the next 48 hours, you can buy 2 and get 1 free. This stuff isn't cheap, so it's a great opportunity to stock up right now, because who knows, the FDA might strike back. So take advantage of the 48-hour promo at blackforestsupplements.com/midnight and get yours now. With that, let's dive into the potential sale of Star Wars. Before we get into the rumor of a Star Wars sale, let's recap what Disney initially bought Star Wars for, and Bob Iger himself detailed at length in his memoirs/How to CEO handbook, Ride of a Lifetime. There is a lot of stuff in that book which is very interesting, and which he no doubt only revealed because the book came out just as Disney Plus was being launched. And at that time, Iger was convinced Disney Plus was going to be a smashing success, the next Netflix, which would mark the cornerstone of his legacy. And he may be right about that, just not in the way he imagined. Because, as it turned out, Disney Plus wasn't a success, nor was Iger's acquisition of Lucasfilm and Star Wars with it, so he probably regrets revealing just how much he overpaid. And he did. You see, the number crunchers did the math, and determined that as of 2012, when the acquisition happened, Lucasfilm was worth $3.7 billion, and even that was a generous figure because there was no film production infrastructure or pipeline at the time, and there was nothing either in the can or in development outside the realm of animation, so you can see that Lucasfilm was something of a fix-em-upper at this time. Still, George Lucas had seen how Marvel had gone for $4 billion, and he wanted that. In fact, he wanted a little bit more, so as not to be lesser than Marvel. Against the recommendations of his number crunchers, Bob Iger signed off on the $4.05 billion for Lucasfilm. That's overpaying by $300 million, plus another $50 million on top of that, just to make George Lucas happy that his brand was more expensive than Marvel. The big difference, though, is that despite all of the post-Endgame blunders, the Marvel investment had by then been paid off many times over. By contrast, last time anyone did the numbers, Disney were still in the red on their Lucasfilm investment. That means, if you take everything Disney has earned on Star Wars since acquiring it, on every movie, every Galactic Star Cruiser, and every commercial license, and then subtract all the cost that went into making those movies, and courtesy of Forbes, that cost was just revealed to be significantly higher than earlier believed. And on top of that, you have your Galaxy's Edge and its rebrands, and the Star Cruiser and everything else since acquiring Lucasfilm. And lest we forget, you also got to subtract the $4.05 billion acquisition from the preliminary sum. And then you're gonna end up with a negative number, meaning that not only can you say Solo lost money, you can also say Disney lost money on Star Wars altogether, and on Indiana Jones, and on Willow. The whole Lucasfilm deal turned out to be a bad one. It didn't have to be that way though, yet it turned out to be, and the fault for that belongs with Kathleen Kennedy, who is in the process of retiring, and that may not be a coincidence. Let us now, finally, get into the rumor that Disney may be looking to sell Star Wars, and I presume Lucasfilm as a whole. Because why keep Willow and Indiana Jones at this point? They both lost Disney hundreds of millions. And so, courtesy of Chris Gore and Alan Ng of Film Threat fame, who are the ultimate sources for this, it would appear that Disney may want to get out of the Lucasfilm game. According to the write-up from That Park Place, a financial insider claims Disney has been shopping the franchise for months, but can't find a buyer. The rumor follows another rumor from back in 2023 that said Disney CEO Bob Iger put restraints on Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars, with it claimed at the time that Iger wants to sell Star Wars but keep Marvel. The claim comes from Film Threat's Chris Gore, who previously leaked Marvel's fighting of top producers. According to Gore, a financial insider told him Disney has been quietly shopping Star Wars for months, with no takers. This is from a friend who is not in the nerd space, not in the YouTube space, not a media person. This is a friend in the world of finance, Gore stated via That Park Place. A trusted individual who says for 7 months they have put feelers out about selling Star Wars. Gore added they've been shopping it for 7 months and can't find a buyer. That Park Place then editorializes. There are signs that the Star Wars sale could be possible. Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down, and Disney has no major Star Wars films in production. Presently, Lucasfilm only has The Mandalorian and Grogu on the release slate. No new movies are in production. A new movie hasn't been released in 6 years. Likewise, on the TV Disney Plus side of things, Andor gets released in April. It's said Ahsoka Season 2 is in development but has no release date, with rumors already offering it won't have a Season 3 and will be cancelled. Similar to the movies, no new Star Wars TV shows are in production, and we recently saw both Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte massively tank on Disney Plus. The timing also lines up with Bob Iger exiting Disney in 2026, who has confirmed streaming lost Disney billions. Disney bought Lucasfilm/Star Wars from George Lucas back in 2012. It's likely the number they're looking for is a lot higher. Yeah, they may be looking for a much higher number, but remember, Disney themselves overpaid, and even if there was no production pipeline, there was audience goodwill and hype, and that, in a sense, is what they were paying for. Now, the situation is reversed. There is a production pipeline, but since all it has churned out is activist garbage, there is no audience goodwill or hype. On the contrary, there is only audience apathy. Now, who the hell would pay $4 billion for that, let alone much more? I submit that if the brand was actually worth only $3.7 billion in 2012, it is worth substantially less now. How much less depends on what anyone is willing to fork over, because in reality, nothing is worth more than anyone is willing to pay for it. And that may be what's going on here. My colleague Tom Connors reached out to one of our Disney sources to ask if they had some information about this ordeal, because while I do not doubt Disney would sell Star Wars if they got enough for it that would pay for all their past Lucasfilm mistakes, but that might not be what is going on here. Indeed, according to this source, the real reason for trying to find a buyer for months already was to ascertain how much anyone would be willing to pay, or in other words, to find out how badly Kennedy has screwed up their IP. They found out she really did a number on it, because not only have they not gotten any offers for the $4.05 billion, with or without that 05 at the end, they haven't even gotten an offer for the $3.7 billion it was worth in 2012. That suggests that Lucasfilm and associated brands are all worth less now than they were 1 decade ago, under Disney rule. That's not great, and according to our source, that may indeed have something to do with why Kathleen Kennedy was said to be retiring the past couple of weeks. Remember, Disney has been trying to find a buyer for months without luck, which makes Lucasfilm a lemon that they're stuck with. For her role in that, Kennedy has offered the opportunity to retire and let someone else clean up her mess. That may be what is really going on here, and the end result of Disney's failed attempt at selling Star Wars. They're stuck with it, so the big question now is there anything they can do to bring you back as a customer? Or is it too late at this point no matter what they do? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, remember to stock up on NMN. Use the link in the description or pinned comment where for the next 48 hours you can buy 2 and get 1 for free.